Hey guys, Ryan Airy here, and holy cow, the new Avengers trailer dropped, and there are tons of tiny details that we're about to break down for you. Now I'm going to be talking about this trailer, previous trailers, the Entertainment Weekly cover story, and a little bit about the leaked footage. So warning, huge spoilers are about to follow. And before we begin, if you're interested in learning about each Infinity Stone and how they mirror the theme of the Marvel movies, check out our brand new series on the Infinity Stones, beginning with the Space Stone. The trailer begins with one of Thanos' circle ships over Lower Manhattan. We saw these ships in previous trailers, with Spider-Man landing on one in his Iron Spider armor and rising above Manhattan. In this trailer, the ship begins over southern Manhattan, which I find interesting because in previous trailers it's farther north on the island. So if the ship is moving north, it's more than likely headed for Greenwich Village, where Doctor Strange is keeping the Eye of Agamotto, which contains the Time Stone. Gamora is telling someone about Thanos' goal, to gather the Infinity Stones and end half the life in the universe with a snap of his fingers. This is a reference to the Infinity Gauntlet, when Thanos gathers the gems and does just that. And if he succeeds, it's an easy way to thin out the cast of all these movies. Now the edit makes it look like she's talking to Tony Stark, but I don't think that's the case. She's on the Milano, while Tony appears to be in a room with wallpaper, similar to the decor of Doctor Strange's Sanctum Sanctorum. It makes a lot more sense if she's telling Thor about Thanos. Remember, as we saw in the previous trailer, Thor meets the Guardians first. The shot where Thanos adds the Space Stone to the gauntlet is reused from the first trailer. This is likely on the ship of Asgardian refugees. It's interesting that he has the Power Stone already. Remember, the Power Stone is being kept on Xandar, where Peter Quill had a dance-off with Ronan. Xandar is likely the planet from the first Infinity War trailer, judging from the multiple suns. And there's two explanations for Thanos adding the Space Stone to his gauntlet second. One, that he destroys Xandar earlier, either in a prologue or a flashback. Or two, a phenomenon I like to call Thor's eye patch. Thor's eye patch refers to anything that Marvel released in a trailer that is later changed with CGI, like this shot from the Thor Ragnarok trailer where Thor clearly has two eyes, and this same shot from the movie when the eye is removed. So in these trailers we only see two stones, but that could just be a Thor's eye patch and Thanos really has a whole gauntlet full, so take everything here with a grain of salt. The next shot is Thanos, likely on the Asgardian ship, wearing armor similar to what he wore in Guardians of the Galaxy. I want to jump ahead in the trailer just a bit to when Thanos gives Thor a space noogie. So we see Loki standing between a lot of scary looking people. This is our first look at Thanos' elite troops, the Black Order. Proxima Midnight is holding a spear to his throat, and we've actually seen her before in a previous trailer fighting Captain America. I'm betting that after Thanos manhandles Thor, Loki hands over the Tesseract. Remember, the reason Loki invaded Earth in the Avengers was to claim the Space Stone for Thanos, so now he's making good on that promise. There are lots of bodies strewn all around, and I really hope that Valkyrie, Heimdall, and Korg all make it out of this one alive. I mean, they were great characters.
Meek, where are you from?
Oh, Meek's dead.
Oh.
Yeah, and I accidentally stomped on him on the bridge. I've just felt so guilty. I've been carrying him around all day.
And there's a little bit of an inconsistency here. When Thanos is crushing Thor's head, he's wearing the Infinity Gauntlet. But when he crushes the Tesseract, he is gloveless. Maybe he beats up Thor, strips off some armor, and then crushes the stone? But it doesn't make sense that he would take off his glove ever because it contains the Power Stone. I don't know. Let me know what you think in the comments. Then we see Rhodey, Natasha, and Banner looking up at the sky. Banner's wearing the same outfit he wore in Wakanda in the previous trailer, and later when they arrive in the country. But the tech on the roof isn't that futuristic looking. So I'm going to say they're on top of Avengers HQ as one of Black Panther's Bugatti spaceships arrives to escort them to Wakanda. In the Super Bowl trailer, we saw Cap, Widow, a person who's probably Wanda, and an injured Vision arrive at the Avengers HQ. Couple this with the Entertainment Weekly photo that show them with Rhodey now walking.
Magic legs.
And we have a lot of clues. Here's how I think this goes down. The Vision is attacked by two members of the Black Order, Proxima Midnight and Corvus Glaive, judging by the staff shown here, and they're beaten back with help from Cap and Black Widow. All of them retreat to Avengers HQ where they meet Rhodey. But why would they retreat to Avengers HQ? Aren't Tony and Steve fighting? Well, remember, in a previous trailer, Tony was holding the flip phone that Steve gave him. So Tony and Steve are working together, over the phone at least. Next we see Peter, who is the worst at keeping his identity a secret outside of his school bus and wearing his mask, then web slinging under the Queensboro Bridge. This is likely a continuation from this shot in the first trailer, when his spider sense is alerted by Thanos' ship. The bus is also heading back toward Queens, meaning the kids were probably in the city for a field trip or an academic competition. It's pretty cool, because in Spider-Man Homecoming, we never saw him web sling in Manhattan, only a brief scene at the Staten Island ferry. So when you think about Homecoming's theme of Peter not flying too high until he's ready, now it's pretty impressive that he's not only far above Manhattan, but probably goes into outer space in this film. Then Iron Man flies toward the ship, and we see a little bit of the armor's new transformation capabilities. In our Black Panther Easter egg video, we guessed that Tony's armor would take on Wakandan tech, because of the way it seems to form, similar to the Black Panther's new suit. Now we see that the suit can also create a giant thruster. In the Entertainment Weekly article, it's also implied that Tony's new armor is capable of space travel, so this thruster may be how he escapes the atmosphere. Also, it's likely that he's coming to Peter's rescue by bringing him the new Iron Spider armor that we see later in the trailer. Then, Doctor Strange opens the Eye of Agamotto while still standing in the Sanctum Sanctorum. For a guy who was told not to mess with the natural order, he's being pretty cavalier about disrupting the space-time continuum. And notice, the stairs behind him are ruined, so this is after he and Wong found a shirtless Bruce Banner crash through their ceiling. I think that Thanos transported the Hulk away, and that's how he lands on Earth. And furthermore, Tony's talking to Banner when he says, "Tell me his name again." Tony says, "We have what Thanos wants, so that's what we'll use." The trailer makes it seem like he's talking about the Mind Stone, but I think he's actually talking about the Time Stone. From all of these trailers, it looks like the team is split into 3 groups: Iron Man, Spider-Man, Doctor Strange, and half the Guardians, Thor, Rocket, and Groot, and then Captain America and friends. In the Entertainment Weekly article, director Anthony Russo said that Cap made the decision to bring the Vision to Wakanda, so it would make sense if Tony had a separate plan to keep the Time Stone from Thanos. There were a lot of theories floating around the internet about the Soul Stone being in Wakanda, and that's how T'Challa communicated with his ancestors. Now that's up in the air, and it seems like Wakanda is just a fortified place where they can defend the Mind Stone. Shuri is looking at a projection of the Vision's head, and I love that this is technology that amazes even her. This shot of the Guardians walking off the ramp of the Milano looks like it takes place in nowhere, which we saw in Guardians of the Galaxy. It's the head of a Celestial where the Collector lives. Remember, the Collector still has the Reality Stone, after Asgardians gave it to him in the post-credits scene of Thor: The Dark World. In the leaked footage, the Guardians encounter Thanos taking the Reality Stone from the Collector. So why doesn't Thanos seem to have the stone later in the movie? Well, Thor's eye patch, maybe he does, and the filmmakers are just hiding it from the marketing. This pod on the left looks like one of the mining pods from Guardians of the Galaxy, and also what we saw Rocket, Groot, and Thor fly in the previous trailer. It's very likely that these 3 are on a quest to create Thor's new hammer, Stormbreaker. That's probably what this shot was from a previous trailer, Thor forging a weapon from the heart of a dying star. This is supported by what we see later in the trailer, with Thor back in a cape in some kind of space refinery with Rocket and Groot. In the background, there are mechanical circles similar to what he was working in the first 2 trailers. And when lightning hits his hand, it looks like he's holding something. I think that he actually has his new hammer, but they CGI'd it out to save the reveal for the film. Again, Thor's eye patch. So now worlds really start to collide, and we see the 2 Peters, Iron Man, and Drax all together. And we've seen this scenery before in the behind-the-scenes footage from the first day of shooting. The big question is, where is this location? At first I thought it was Xandar because the architecture is similar, but the logic doesn't hold up. If Thanos obtained the Power Stone first, and Tony's team finds out about Thanos from Banner after Thanos gets the Space Stone, then Thanos already has the Power Stone, and there's no reason for anyone to fight amongst the ruins of Xandar. Or maybe, just maybe, Thor's eye patch. We have a couple theories about where this location is, but first we have to look at the battle on Earth, where Falcon, War Machine, and the Wakandan troop transports are flying to the front lines. In the distance we see Thanos' other ships that landed in a previous trailer. I think these ships are likely troop transports carrying his army, the Outriders. We also get a good look at the new Hulkbuster armor, which has a triangle on the back exactly like the new arc reactor on Tony's chest. Based on the Hulkbuster's clumsy movements, I think that it's actually Banner inside the suit, and that he's unable to turn into the Hulk. But you're asking, why did we see the Hulk in a previous trailer? Because, perhaps after he's overwhelmed by the Outriders, Banner finally hulks out and busts through the armor. Now we see what I think is a flashback of Thanos, still wearing his full armor, kidnapping Gamora as a child. Nebula, Gamora, and the entire Black Order were kidnapped by Thanos, then conditioned to become warriors. In this scene, it looks like Thanos' soldiers are keeping the people at bay, while the little girl volunteers for tribute. Now let's talk about this mystery location with these giant, broken down, spider-like structures. This is where we saw a lot of earlier fighting between Thanos, Tony, and Peter. Now it looks like the Guardians of the Galaxy and Doctor Strange are there too. And if you notice, Doctor Strange is making small energy discs for Star-Lord to leap onto. That's pretty impressive teamwork for 2 guys who just met. We also see that these machines are in a valley, and that one of Thanos' circle ships crashes through one of them. And there's two possible locations this could be. One is Wakanda, but in a different area of Wakanda than Cap and company are fighting in. But I don't think that's the case, because this appears to be the same planet where Thanos drops a moon on the heroes. So I think that the most likely explanation is that this is Thanos' home planet, Titan. In the Entertainment Weekly article, it says that Titan is, quote, no longer inhabited because of things Thanos thought he could prevent. I think that Titan became overcrowded, and that's why Thanos is set on destroying half the life in the universe, to bring balance. He even mentions balance in almost every trailer, and if you pay attention, you'll see that these structures are already ruined and broken. It could be that the heroes are on Titan because it contains the Soul Stone, or some other key to defeating Thanos from his past. Doctor Strange is being tortured, apparently by Ebony Maw, another member of the Black Order. But this shot of Maw looks like it's on the Asgardian ship, while the shot of Strange appears to be in the same location where he meets Spider-Man later in the trailer, or regardless of where it takes place. The needles piercing Strange look like astral projections, and there's some huge implications there. If the Black Order can also attack with magic on the astral plane, then they're more of a match for Doctor Strange. It's interesting that in this shot, Strange no longer has his levitation cloak, but he does have the Eye of Agamotto around his neck. So maybe the eye is mystically bound to Strange unless he releases it. Thanos says, I hope they remember you, and it's hard telling who he's talking to. The trailer makes it look like Tony, but I think it's more than likely Gamora or Nebula. They cut together the scene of Thanos leaping with Cap catching Thanos' glove. It wouldn't surprise me if Thanos was fighting on two different planets at the same time. Literally punching Cap, turning around, using the Space Stone to travel to Titan to chokeslam Spider-Man, etc. In this completely awesome shot, you see that Thanos only has 2 stones. This means that either we have a case of Thor's eye patch, or Wakanda is not the final setting for the film. Maybe all the heroes fail at keeping the stones away because they're in 2 different locations, and they have to unite in a final climax that we haven't even seen in a trailer yet. So here's a question I want to leave you with. How in the heck is Steve Rogers strong enough to catch and hold Thanos' punch while he has the Power Stone? Do you think this is bad writing, or does Steve maybe have an Infinity Stone in his pocket he hasn't told anybody about? Let me know what you think in the comments. Thanks for watching, guys. If you're finding us for the first time, please subscribe. We also have a ton of great MCU content, like our series about the Infinity Stones and our recap of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, one film at a time.